Вітаю всіх на сьогоднішньому вебінарі, який стосується НМТ, зокрема, частини читання. Перед тим, як розпочати вебінар, хочу сказати, що буду читати усі ваші питання та повідомлення у чаті, тому якщо раптом у вас виникатимуть якісь запитання, пишіть їх у чат і постараюся на них реагувати. Також перед тим, як розпочати наш, сподіваюся, продуктивний вебінар, хочу з вами трішки познайомитись і розповісти декілька слів про себе. Отже, мене звати Олеся Вовк, я є старшою викладачкою мережі шкіл Грін Кантрі. Маю досвід викладання англійської, а також підготовки студентів до НМТ. Більше того, ділюся своїм досвідом не лише з учнями, але і зі своїми колегами, викладачами. І у цьому мені допомагає мій міжнародний сертифікат СЕЛЬТА від Кембридж. І також я беру участь у розробці та редакції матеріалів, за якими навчаються студенти мережі шкіл Грін Кантрі. So, let's get started. Наш вебінар буде проводитися англійською мовою, тому let me switch into English. So, let's dive in and yes, reading part. I know that for many of you, the reading part of NMT can feel, well, a little intimidating, yeah? Some of you may think I read in English all the time, but when it comes to the test, I kind of freeze, yeah? And others may feel like I understand the text, but I always lose points on the questions. So if this sounds familiar, don't worry, you are not alone actually, yeah? And today we're going to break down this section step by step, so you know exactly what to do, how to prepare, and how to avoid the most common traps. So by the end of this session, by the end of this webinar, you will clearly understand how the reading section works, know the most common reasons why students lose points and how to fix them, master 3 key strategies, which I hope you already know, that's skimming, scanning, and spotting distractors. We'll practice on real style questions together. And finally, learn how to prepare for success beyond just doing NMT tasks. So today, think of this webinar as your roadmap. After it, the reading section will no longer feel like a mystery. It will feel like something you can control. But let's start with a little warm-up, kind of quiz. How confident you are in the reading section right now? Take a look at the images. Choose the emoji that corresponds to your answer. Very confident, somewhat confident, or not confident at all. And send these images to the chat. Or if you can find the right emoji, you can send the words. Okay, I see your reactions, the answers, but I'm waiting for some more images. Okay, thank you. I love the honesty here. No matter what your emoji was, this webinar is for you. Let's start with the basics. what exactly is the reading section in the NMT? So you will have for about 4 reading tasks, right? Each task is followed by questions, and there are 22 questions out of 32 questions. Yeah, 22 of them are reading part. And each task, each text is followed by questions, usually multiple choice questions, sentence completion, a matching task, and filling in the blanks, as I said, sentence completion. And for all of these, I do recommend to devote 30-40 minutes maximum, because you will still have 10 more tasks of use of English. So now here is the key. You don't get unlimited time. Yeah, you will usually have for about 30 minutes in total, which means you cannot treat this like reading a novel, right? You need to read smartly and not slowly. So what does the reading section usually test? It's not about knowing every single word. Instead, it checks whether you can identify the main idea of the text. Can you find specific details quickly? Can you understand words or phrases in context? Can you tell the difference between what the text says, what it doesn't say, what is just implied? Yeah. And finally, can you resist the trap of distractors? Yeah. And I skipped it, sorry, but yeah, here you could see the examples of the tasks. I hope that you are familiar with them, but still take a look. Matching task, there is an example of a matching task. You will be given 4 posters for kind of advertisements, and your task will be to match each advertisement to the best summary, main idea. You will also have one more matching task, but this one is not with posters, but with some short texts. Again, your task will be to get the main idea of the text and match each short paragraph with the correct summary. Multiple choice tasks, you will get a huge text, yeah? And your task will be to read it attentively and to choose the correct answer. So multiple choice means that you will have A, B, C, D for each question. Yeah, 4 options, and your task will be to choose only one. And one more type of the task, that is gap filling task. You will be given a text with some gaps, and it means that you need to read the text and fill in the gaps, those blanks, right? Spaces with some parts of the sentences. Yes, that's it. And as you could see, most of the tasks, they check whether you can identify the main idea of the text, right? And here is a mini example. Take a look at this short paragraph carefully. And the question is, what is the main idea of this paragraph? A. Exercise helps people lose weight. Exercise has many benefits, not just weight loss. And research is not always correct. Choose the best one and type the answer to the chat. Exactly. The correct answer is B. Pretty easy. The passage wants you to understand the bigger picture, not just the first line, right? So that's why the correct answer is B. This is exactly the kind of skill you will be tested on in the NMT, to get the bigger picture, not the very first sentence or some unnecessary details, yeah? So that's why. Let's be honest and let's find out, why do so many students lose points in reading? Here are the top 5 reasons. The first one, reading too slowly. Some students try to translate every single word they see in the text. They open the passage and instead of reading for meaning, they get stuck on one sentence, thinking, what does this word mean? Oh no, I don't know this word. But let me tell you, if you do that, the clock will beat you. The test is not checking how many words you can translate, it's checking if you can understand the text as a whole. Time management is everything here. Even if you don't know every single word, you can still get the right answer only by focusing on the general idea and understanding the content. Think of it as this way. You don't stop driving your car or driving or riding your bike just because there is a little stone on the road. You keep going, right? The same with reading. Don't let one unknown word stop your whole progress. Keep going, yeah? The second reason is not understanding question types. This is another common mistake. Sometimes the test asks about facts, something clearly written in the text. Other times it asks about the author's opinion or even about what is not in the text. If you confuse this, you will lose easy points. For example, imagine the question is, what is the writer's opinion about public transport? But instead of looking for opinion words like I believe, I think, it's better, you search for facts like dates, numbers, or whatever. That's a recipe for the wrong answer, exactly. So before you start reading the options, make sure you really understand what the question is asking. A good habit is underline keywords like fact, opinion, main idea, or not mentioned. Yeah, usually this not is written with capital words, capital letters, but still, it's still possible not to spot it, especially when you're worried. So they are small clues that can completely change the meaning of the question. The second reason, that's vocabulary gaps. Yes, vocabulary matters, but not in the way many students think. You don't need to know every single word in the text, and trust me, the exam is not designed to test your dictionary. What you do need is the ability to guess meaning from context. For example, imagine you see the word lorry. Maybe you don't know it, but you read the sentence, the lorry carried goods from the factory to the shop. Right away, you can guess it's the same kind, and it's some kind of vehicle. And that's enough to answer the question. Another trick is to pay attention to prefixes and suffixes. They often give you a clue about meaning. And don't panic if you meet a new word. Relax, look around the sentence, and let the context help you. Try to read it once again, and I'm pretty sure that you will get the context, get the meaning. Another one, that's poor time management. Some students spend 10 minutes on the first text, carefully reading every single sentence, and then suddenly you realize that only 15 minutes left for 2 more texts. At that point, panic sets in and they start rushing. And when you rush, you make mistakes. Remember, every question is worth the same number of points. It doesn't matter if it's the first text or the last one. That's why you need to manage your time wisely. For example, you can give yourself a clear limit around 7-8 minutes per text, and then move on. If you get stuck on one tricky question, don't waste 5 minutes starting at it. Skip it. Finish the rest and then come back if you still have time. It's much better to answer everything with a cool head than to leave the last 10 questions blank just because you got stuck earlier, right? Think of it like running race. You need steady speed, not to sprint at the beginning and collapse at the end, right? So, and the last one, distractors, falling for distractors. This is a big one. The examiners have to include answers that look correct but are actually slightly wrong. For example, the text says, Tom went to Paris in June for a conference. And the options are Tom went to Paris in July, Tom went to London in July, Tom went to Paris in June for a holiday, and Tom went to Paris in June for a conference. That's just an example. You won't get the exact sentence because that's too easy. That's just an example. Take a look at the sentence and write the correct answer to the chat. A, B, C, or D. Exactly. Yes, that's D. So take a look at A and B. They are obviously wrong, but C is tricky. It's very close, but one word, holiday, instead of conference, makes it wrong. This is what we call a distractor. If you read too fast, you will choose C and lose the point. That's why we'll practice today how to slow down just enough to check details. Don't just look for the same words. Make sure the meaning matches, right? So let's have a quick reflection. Which of those mistakes that we discussed with you, reading too slowly, not understanding question types, vocabulary gaps, poor time management, or distractors, is your weak spot? Is it speed, vocabulary, or distractors? Which one is the biggest trouble for you? Vocabulary, yeah. Okay. Okay, but now you know that vocabulary is not a problem for NMT test because the test actually, as I said, doesn't test your vocabulary knowledge. Um, Even if you don't know some of the words, you can pass NMT with flying colors. Okay, the good news, every single one of these can be fixed. Speed, vocabulary, or even these falling for these factors. And that's actually what we are about to do today. So let's unlock the real tools you need. There are some reading strategies that will be really useful for you for passing NMT. The first one that's skimming and the second one is scanning. They were already mentioned during the previous webinars, so I hope that you know the difference between them. What is skimming and what is scanning? Take some notes to the chat. Yeah, the short answer, very short and easy answer. If you do know what's the difference. Why do we need skimming and why do we need scanning? Well, okay, I hope that I will see some answers a bit later. So let's start with skimming. And skimming is actually reading quickly to get the main idea. Think of it as flying over the text in a helicopter. You see the big picture, not the small details, right? So how to do it? Focus on the first and the last sentences of paragraphs. Your brain will automatically get the gist, the main idea. Let's try. You will see a short paragraph and you will have 1 minute to tell me the main idea. Ready? Let's do it. Okay, so the time is up. Type to the chat what is the main idea of this very text? Very briefly, in only a few words. Good. See your first answers. Yeah, about Starbucks. Good. Mm-hmm. Yes, about Hochschultz. Okay. Yeah, about his career. Right. Good. So you see, you didn't need every detail. You just needed the overall idea. Yeah, you scanned it. You didn't read into details. You just got the main idea of the text. Yeah, about Starbucks and its founder. Good, correct. So that's what do we call skimming? Yeah, skimming. You skim the text very quickly. You don't get into the details. You don't read every single word. Yeah, for this very task, skimming, we usually need for about 1 maximum 2 minutes. Yeah, so that's something very, very quick. Let's move on to scanning. Scanning is a little bit different. It's like using a flashlight in a dark room. You're looking for something very specific. When a question asks, when did the company open its first store? It means that you don't need to read the whole text, the whole passage. You just scan for a number, a date, a year. Yeah, so scanning is usually for some specific information, dates, names, years, places, and so on. So let's test it. You will see the same text again, and the task will be to answer the question: how much did Schultz pay to buy Starbucks in 1987? So you don't need much time for this because you just need to scan and find the right information. You need to focus on numbers, yes, 1987, and price. So find the answer in the text and write it to the chat. Exactly. See your answers in the chat. Perfect. You see how easy it is? You just need to scan. You don't need to read the whole text. You just look for the date and then look for the price. Yes? Um, Done, fast, easy. Let's move on to the distractors, spotting distractors. So actually, distractors are sneaky. They are designed to trick you. You already know what are these distractors, yeah? So we're going to practice them a bit. You have the same, you will see the paragraph of the same text. And the task will be to find the correct answer. A quick tip for you. Never start with the paragraph, never start with the text. Take a look at the question, read the variants of answers A, B, C, D. So take 30 seconds to do this. Read the question and the answers, possible answers. And now, when you read the question and possible answers, you are ready to read the paragraph in which the information is, and choose the best option. So take for about 1 minute or even less, read the paragraph and choose A, B, C, or D and type it to the chat. Good. See your first answers. Okay. Good job. Exactly. The correct answer is B, but let's discuss all of them together. Let's take a look at A. He had to work with his father delivering goods. This one is a distractor. It's pretty close to reality, but the text says that his father was a truck driver delivering diapers, right? Some goods, but Schultz himself didn't work with him, right? So this one is a distractor. Let's take a look at C. He got to college due to his academic achievements. Again, this one is a distractor. He actually got in thanks to a football scholarship. Pay attention, football scholarship, not academic, yeah, an athletic scholarship. So that's why this one is not correct. And let's take a look at D. He started his career working as a football player. Again, a distractor. He played football, but never worked as a professional. And let's take a look at B. He lived modestly in his childhood and youth. This one is correct. Text says that his family had financial difficulties, right? And the family was left with no income. And even if the word modestly is new for you, you don't know it, you can get it from the context. You eliminate A, C, and D because they are wrong. Maybe some of them are close to reality, but no such information in the text, right? So we eliminate them, and the one which is correct, or probably is correct, or maybe is correct, right, is B. So that's how to work with those questions. And pay attention, I didn't show you the whole text, only one paragraph from the text. Because when you have 5 questions to these very big and long text, usually the number of the question corresponds to the number of the paragraph. So it means if you try to answer question number 1 to this very text, you don't need to read the whole text. You need to focus only on the first paragraph. The same with question 2, 3, 4, and 5, right? Sometimes some of the questions are based on only 2 paragraphs, for example, number 4 and 5. But usually you always, not usually, but always, you don't have to read the whole text, only one or maximum two paragraphs. Sometimes the questions can be about the main aim of the text or a general writer's idea. So in this case, you need to get the general idea as we discussed with you. Yeah, you need to look for some, to scan the text and to look for some words, specific words. If it's about writer's idea, you need to look for some words like I think, I believe, yeah, and focus on them. So yeah. Good. And now I suggest one more thing about distractors that I forgot. Be careful with words like always, never, only, all, the best, the most, or those words. These extremes are usually a sign of a trap because in the very text, in the text or in the paragraph, you may have know these words, just a sentence, right? And here in the answers, some words like always, never, sometimes, only, or all can be added, and the answer will be not correct. So that's also very important to pay attention to those words like always, never, and so on. Good. I suggest you to practice, and the very first task that you can see here, that's poster, advertisement, and you need to take a look at the advertisement and choose the correct answer. But before you start, let's think together. What do you need to do with this very advertisement? Do you need to skim or to scan it? What's the strategy? How to work with it? To skim or to scan? Scanning. Yeah, first you can skim. Just take a look, take a very quick look at the advertisement, at the picture, at the poster, right? And then you need to scan it and look for some synonyms. What do I mean? Before you take a look at the poster, you need to read all of the possible answers from A to H. Take a look at the keywords, key phrases, right? Degree, house, competition, food, and so on. And then read the text and find the synonyms. And one more tip that I would like to share with you on here. Do not focus on the picture. Usually pictures are kind of distracted because you take a look at the picture, you see an animal, but the advertisement is not about an animal at all. So that's why I even recommend cover the picture, don't take a look at the picture and read the text. Yeah, scan it, look for some synonyms because picture can be tricky and can lead you to wrong answer. So take 1 minute or even less because that's very easy task. Skim, scan the poster and choose the correct answer from A to H and type it to the chat. Okay, thank you. The correct answer is H. Take a look here. The whole text can be tricky, and some of the students may think that the correct answer is D, about employed, because you can see a girl, looks like she's kind of a worker, right? She works at the office, but it's also very important to look at some other information. Yeah, here we've got university, first of all, and here um, we've got some other words, undergraduate and postgraduate program. Yeah, so these helps, so the synonyms, yeah, graduate, undergraduate and postgraduate program. So the synonyms, kind of synonyms to degree. Here we've got a distractor. We've got here students achieve successful careers, right? Career is a distractor, and here we got employed, and you can think that they are kind of synonyms, yeah, similar words, and that's about employment, not about education. So yeah, be attentive and don't focus on the picture and don't focus on some separate words or phrases. Take into account the whole picture, the whole poster. Um, okay, let's take a look at one more task, type of the task. You will have a text which consists of several short paragraphs, several short texts, and the task will be to read this text and choose the best option, the best summary. So, again, let's think. If we need to get the general idea of the text, what do we need to do first? Skim or scan? Exactly, we skim first, get the general idea of the text, yeah, and then scan it for some details and we'll look for some synonyms. And as I said earlier, first you have to read the options, yeah, the possible answers, and only then read the paragraph and choose the best option. Look for some synonyms, for some words that are similar and that can help you to choose the best option. So now take for about 1 minute, read this very short paragraph and write the correct answer to the chat from A to H. Good. See your answers. Thank you. Yes, the correct answer is E. And let's take a look and discuss it a bit. So A was connected with an illegal group, nothing about crime or illegality in the text, right? B is placed in one construction, not clear and seems irrelevant to this text, right? Then C doesn't allow in foreign tourists, nothing like this mentioned, so not correct one. D has set age limitations, no mention of age rules, right? Then F is associated with a certain color. Well, can be some people may think that opal, that's about color. Yeah, so some people may think that opal has colors, right? And it's just called the opal capital. So this one can be as a distractor, but this one is not correct. Yeah, that is the name of the the city. Yeah. And the next one lies closest to the pole. Text says Australia. Is Australia near the pole? Nope. So this one is not correct. So geography here, yeah. And the last one has no permanent residence. Text mentions 3,500 inhabitants, right? So also not correct. The only correct answer that has dwellings below the land surface, right? We've got here in the text, half of whom live on the ground. Yeah, half of whom live on the ground. And even if you don't know the word dwellings, you've got the phrase below the land surface, and that's enough, right? Okay, we have practiced with you this huge text, how to work with it. Now, the very last example of the task, that you will see a text with some gaps, and you will have to choose the best part of the sentence to fill it in. Let's think how to work with such a text. What should you do first? Skim, scan, look at the answers. Do you need to read the whole text and so on? So what should you do first? How to work with such a text, such a task? Exactly. You should look at the answers first, right? Um, you can scan the text, sorry, you can skim the text to get the main idea, right? And actually, you don't have to read the whole text in details because that's a complete waste of time. That's time consuming, right? So that's why the best strategy for such a task is to take a look at some words, phrases, or the sentence, the whole sentence before the gap, and words, phrases, or the sentence after the gap. you don't have to read the whole text. Only focus on the gap itself to look at the phrases, words before and after it. And even before choosing the correct option, before looking at the correct answers, you can try to predict what should be here, a noun, a verb, what the information should be about, right? So let's try to do the same with the first question again. You know the strategy now, so read this short paragraph and choose the best option from A to H and type it to the chat. Good. See your answers. Okay. Yes, B is the correct answer. Yeah, so how did you work? I hope that you looked at the very sentence with the gap attentively and tried to predict, right? What can be there? Yeah, what is the sentence about and what can be there? So you take a look at the sentence, you get that it's about tracking, right? Tracking on your own and mentions nothing but you to keep you company, right? So let's take a look at the possible answers. The first one, A, that won't affect tourist arrivals. Irrelevant. This is about tourism policy, not company, right? The next one, let's take a look at C. As a requirement for travelers, this is not about company, right? The next one, D, where independent travel is forbidden, unrelated, right? Then E, and international backpackers, nothing but you and international backpackers doesn't make sense actually because you're supposed to be alone, right? And then F, at least one government approved guide. Grammatically fits, but the sentence is describing solo trekking on your own, right? Then G, that you hire a guide or porter, also fits grammatically, but again, solo trekking means without a guide. And the last one, as a safe destination for tourists, not about company. So the only correct answer that's and your surroundings. It fits grammatically, nothing but you and your surroundings to keep your company. Makes sense. So the rest of the answers are kind of distractors, right? And you should spot it, and you did it perfectly. You spot them. Good. So now you know how to work with all of the types of the tasks, and I'm pretty sure that you can easily do it. And the final part of our webinar, how do you prepare outside the exam? So what to do apart of only doing some exam tasks, right? Remember, the reading section doesn't just test grammar, it tests habits. So it doesn't test grammar or vocabulary, it tests habits. It's about how you approach text, how you manage time, how you think as a reader. So here is what to do to prepare well. First of all, build vocabulary. Focus on words and topics that often appear in exam, like health, environment, education, science, technology. You can find the list of the topics on the internet. You could Google for them. Don't just memorize lists. Try to see these words in context. For example, you read a short article about recycling and notice how words like sustainable, pollution, waste are used in the sentences in the text. And it's easier to remember words when you see them in real situations. Next one, I skipped it, sorry. Read daily. Even 15 or 20 minutes per day of English articles, stories, articles, or news, they make a huge difference over time. The more you read, the more comfortable you feel with different sentences, structures, and new words. Try to mix it up. Sometimes news, sometimes blogs, sometimes short stories. This keeps reading interesting and trains your brain to understand English in many different ways. The next one, as you can see here, practice under time pressure. Use timer. Simulate the exam conditions. Set up a quiet place, no phone, no distractions. Pretend the clock is ticking. This helps you manage your time during the real test. Start with longer timer if needed. Then gradually reduce to the actual exam time. And over time, you will feel more relaxed even when the questions are tricky. The next one is analyze mistakes, as we did with you. Don't just check the right answer and move on. Ask yourself, why did I choose the wrong one? What tricked me? Was I distracted by a word or did I misunderstand the question type? Understanding your mistakes is one of the fastest way to improve. Keep a small notebook or a document with some tricky questions and your reflections. After a few weeks, you will notice some patterns in your mistakes and can focus your practice more efficiently. And the last one, improve reading speed. Push yourself to read faster, but make sure you still understand the text. One tip, don't read every word carefully at first. Scan the text for main ideas, then read details when needed. You can also try reading slightly above your comfort level. A little challenge trains your brain to process information quicker. Here is a sample of daily routine you could follow. 20 minutes reading an article in English or a short story, then 5 minutes writing down 5 new words you learned and trying to use them in your own sentences, and once a week, do a timed NMT reading test to practice speed, accuracy, and stamina. And one more thing that can help you to get ready to the NMT test and to pass it with flying colors, that's our course from Green Country that is called Підготовка до НМТ. I will switch into Ukrainian to tell you a little bit more about it. Отже, підготовка до НМТ є два формати навчання, тобто на вибір груповий або індивідуальний формат навчання. Старт курсу вже 12 вересня. І усе навчання відбувається за підручником Get 200, який розроблений спеціально під наш український НМТ-тест. І також багато завдань виконується на платформі інтерактивній платформі, тобто таке комбо підручник та додаткові завдання інтерактивної платформи, і також багато тестів, тобто відпрацювання саме тестових завдань, які трапляються на іспиті. Для детальнішої інформації можна відсканувати QR-код або перейти на наш вебсайт greencountry.com.ua та знайти більше інформації саме про курс та, можливо, там зателефонувати або зареєструватися. And the very last stage, your questions. If you still have some questions, feel free to drop them to the chat. Якщо все ж залишились якісь запитання, якщо все ж щось турбує, щось з секції читання, так, залишайте ваші запитання або коментарі у чаті. All right, no questions. So thank you all so much for joining. Remember, you don't have to understand every word to succeed. You just need to the right strategies, which we covered with you today. Keep practicing, stay consistent, and you will unlock the reading section with confidence. Good luck on your NMT and see you next time. Bye-bye.